As the country gets ready for the changes that will come with the new flexible work legislation, we bring you crucial facts you need to know. It's only one of the many reasons to keep watching this edition of Jamaica Magazine, the program that informs and educates. I'm Adrian Atkinson. Also coming up, a timely reminder of the symptoms of the chikungunya virus and the steps you can take to protect yourself. Plus, strides being made in the energy sector, the latest update from the electricity sector enterprise team. Our package begins after this important message.
Householders, business people, school administrators, protect yourself and your children from the chikungunya virus. Be on the alert. Help control the mosquito population. Chikungunya is a virus transmitted by the Aedes aegypti mosquito, which breeds in and around your home, workplace, and school. Destroy breeding sites. Empty old tires and all other containers where water can settle. Bore holes in old cans. Cover water drums and garbage cans. Wash flower pots and vases and clean pet dishes regularly. Protect yourself from mosquito bites. Cover your body as much as possible and use mosquito repellent containing DEET. And if you're experiencing symptoms of chikungunya, a sudden high fever, headache, rash, nausea, pain, stiffness, or severe joint pains, see your doctor or go to the nearest health center.
Good day, I'm Andrea Chisholm and this is your JIS News for Thursday, September 25. Health Minister Dr. Fenton Ferguson has sought to assure the country that the lower number of confirmed cases of chikungunya versus the high number of suspected cases is normal in countries affected by the virus. He explained that only cases confirmed by the lab can be reported as confirmed. In the meantime, Dr. Ferguson says many of the persons experiencing flu-like symptoms may not be infected with chikungunya.
Some of them, again, it is not necessarily chickpea because this is the time of the year when we have flu, when we have dengue. And let me also reveal that the lab tests can also confirm both dengue and chickpea.
The minister was speaking at a JIS think tank Wednesday where he reiterated that persons who have chickpea should take paracetamol and not aspirin. In the meantime, Dr. Ferguson says the ministry is taking a unified approach to address mosquito-borne diseases and is calling on Jamaicans to play an active role. The minister announced that a meeting to plan a national cleanup day would be held this week. Stakeholders from various sectors will be invited. Jamaica is set to receive $68.8 million more from the International Monetary Fund (IMF), bringing total disbursements under the arrangement to $483.2 million. This follows Wednesday's announcement by the Executive Board of the IMF that it has formally completed its review of Jamaica's performance under the Extended Fund Facility for the April to June quarter. The IMF said gains from government's economic reform program was emerging as Jamaica had regained access to the capital markets and was increasing its business competitiveness. The fund added that the removal of impediments to investments should foster economic growth, increase jobs and reduce poverty. Finance Minister Dr. Peter Phillips recently announced the formation of a cabinet subcommittee to identify and remove impediments to growth projects. The IMF mission to Jamaica conducted the fifth review of the economy between August 13 and 22 this year. Meanwhile, Finance Minister Dr. Peter Phillips is confident that Jamaica will also pass the sixth IMF test, a review of the country's performance for the July to August period.
The sixth quarterly review, the due date, which is the target date, is next Tuesday. So all the signs point positively.
And still on the financial scene, government has signed a $150 million agreement with the World Bank to strengthen the business environment and facilitate private sector investments. The initiative, dubbed the Foundations for Competitiveness and Growth Project, will be implemented by the Planning Institute of Jamaica over the next 6 years. Finance Minister Dr. Peter Phillips signed the Memorandum of Understanding with the World Bank on Wednesday.
It will provide resources for private businesses, private firms to undertake feasibility or pre-feasibility studies in relation to strategic investment projects that they may be embarked upon.
Dr. Phillips added that it would also facilitate the development of technical studies for critical growth sectors such as the creative industries and the information and communication technology sector. World Bank Executive Thomas Viss also outlined how some of the money would be spent.
25 of the $50 million of the project is for SMEs, direct support, through matching grants and line allocations under lines of credit.
The Foundations for Competitiveness and Growth project is part of the World Bank's country partnership strategy with Jamaica. It's a strategy to help modernize the public sector, enable private sector growth, and strengthen Jamaica's resilience to social and climate change. And finally, the Jamaica Business Development Corporation, JBDC, has garnered more than $25 million from the private sector to support its mobile business clinic initiative. JBDC, which is a government entity, will team up with private sector companies to provide development and technical support to micro, small and medium-sized enterprises. The National Commercial Bank is one of the entities supporting the initiative.
We're pleased that we have had an opportunity to partner with the JBDC in this mobile clinic initiative. We recognize that there are a number of Jamaicans who really are left out. They are not included. There is lack of financial inclusion for a sector of this country, and we see this mobile initiative as one way to foster that financial inclusion.
Fidelity Motors Limited, meanwhile, contributed 3 mobile office units to deliver business services in the region. The JBDC Mobile Business Clinic will get going on October 29 in St. James. To learn more about the program, contact the JBDC or visit their website, jbdc.net. And that's it for JIS News today. I'm Andrea Chisholm. Thank you for watching.
Guys, when I'm ready.
Ready a long time. Let's go.
Ready, Mona? Yeah. Oh, Shelly, I have a file for you for tomorrow, okay?
All right.
I'm going to leave it on your desk.
Sure, go right ahead.
But Shelly, you don't shut down the computer.
But it not gonna do nothing.
But of course, when you leave it on, it burns excess energy.
I say go?
Yes.
Okay.
Did you know that the country foots the bill to import the fuel that produces electricity? Let's all play our part to conserve on energy by ironing once per week, unplugging all appliances when not in use, and avoid keeping the refrigerator open for a long period of time when removing food. Get smart. Don't get left in the dark.
Last week, the Electricity Sector Enterprise Team, ESET, reported that Jamaica could expect at least a 30% reduction in the cost of fuel by 2018. This translates into savings of about $350 million for the country. ESET also noted that the reduction will come once several energy projects are implemented, starting as early as next year. Let's listen now as ESET Chairman Dr. Vincent Lawrence shares the details.
We essentially began a planning process, a very integrated planning process to look at what Jamaica's energy needs were. And that's what we have been doing for the last couple of months. In looking at that and looking at the entire system, we had the opportunity to look at the potential generators of electricity to the national grid. And we're talking now understanding the integrated system and how it works throughout the entire process. And we have received, to be frank with you, several people have submitted proposals to us that who want to build and own and operate generation facilities. And they want to then sell power to the grid, for the grid to deal with the transmission, the distribution, and the supply. I should tell you, however, that we did have submissions about renewables. We had submissions about gas, syngas. You know, syngas is gas produced from coal, LNG, compressed natural gas, waste to energy, biomass, solar, you name it, coal. There were 3 entities, however, that we have had significantly more discussion with, or have had significant discussion with. One is the Jamaica Public Service Company. From the JPS code, their proposal essentially was to replace this 292 megawatts of obsolete equipment by putting in 190 megawatts. And they proposed to replace that using gas. And that's one of the issues that we are also examining, whereby they would secure their own gas, and it could be LNG or some other form of gas that is suitable for burning in the plant. The other proposal that they had, which is one that we had raised and discussed with them from our rapid assessment issue, was the Bogue Power Station. And so the proposal that we also discussed with the JPSCO and had from them was to convert Bogue to gas, and that's 115 megawatts of power. As a low-hanging fruit, it is one that we could pick very quickly. So we feel that that is something, because that immediately will result for the Bogue plant a 40% reduction in the fuel price. We had discussions with Jamalco, and we have had discussions with Rusal on behalf of Alpart. Now, the proposal from Jamalco was that they had selected a developer to build, own, and operate a coal-fired cogeneration facility. Okay? And that plant would be located at the Jamalco site. Essentially, that plant will have the ability to supply 50 megawatts of power to the JPS. And so we are looking at that as one of the options in the system of providing power to the grid. The other proposal is from Alpart, which is currently closed. And for Alpart to reopen, they must have an energy solution. And so they want to use gas, and they have entered into arrangements to build an ethane-fired combined gas turbine cogeneration facility at Alpart. They have proposals for that, which will be a part of the reopening up of the Alpart plant. And in that system, the power plant will be located at Alpart, for sure, Nain, and the ethane will be shipped from the USA to Port Kaiser, and then piped from Port Kaiser to the plant where it will be gasified. And they want to sell power also to the grid. We have got them to look at and said we probably would have an interest in about 150 megawatts, 140, 150 megawatts, but certainly not 220 or 240 megawatts from the plant. And again, they have come back with a proposal that they are prepared to, because they can get the steam that they need and probably produce the additional steam. Otherwise, they could, in a cogeneration facility, allow us to have up to 150 megawatts in their plant. Now, this works for both them and for us. The benefits, we think, from the new baseload generating plants that we are considering will mean that we should be able to have significantly lower electricity rates. And at this stage, we think it should be at least about 30% at least by 2018 total. We think it will phase in it will come in on a phased basis, beginning with Bogue next year, and it will increase gradually up to in excess of 30%. But by 2018, we're sure it should be in excess of 30% reduction. It will significantly improve the voltage stability and grid security. I think a lot of people in some areas may be quite happy about that, because some people, I don't think, are experiencing the level of stability and grid security that they should be experiencing at this time. And we certainly will have significantly lower technical losses. Our estimate is that the fuel savings in the country's bill will be in excess of $350 million US from this exercise. And the reduction in fuel costs will be greater than 30% for the facilities.
Longing for flexible work hours? Well, the Ministry of Labour and Social Security is ready to give you just that through its new flexi-time arrangement. This means both you and your employer can arrange the traditional 40-hour work week in a way that best suits your needs and that of the organization to which you are employed. So expect a shorter work week, more family or business time, more jobs through part-time work opportunities, reduced traffic during peak hours, improved customer service due to varied opening hours, reduced absenteeism, and much more. So come on, balance work, balance life with flexi-time.
The Flexible Work Bill was passed in the House of Representatives on Tuesday. The legislation will be going to the Senate now for their consideration. In the meantime, the Minister of Labour and Social Security, Derek Kelly, has promised to carry out an education campaign to ensure workers and employers understand their roles, rights and responsibilities. Get some of those facts in this feature.
On March 25, 2014, the Employment Flexible Work Arrangements Miscellaneous Provisions Act was tabled in Parliament. It sets out to amend provisions relating to hours and days of work in several pieces of legislation to facilitate the implementation of flexible working arrangements in Jamaica. The end goal? To position the country's labour market to take advantage of investments and other economic opportunities. Flexi work is an alternate arrangement or schedule from the traditional Monday to Friday 9 to 5 working day or week. In principle, it allows individual employees and employers more room to choose when they start and end the workday or even which day of the week to work.
So it could be that a person could be starting at 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 10 o'clock, or it could be that the hours you work could be 8, it could be 10, it could be 12. Days of the week would no longer have to be just Monday to Friday. You could choose.
But does this mean that everyone will be on a flexi work system once the law is changed?
Flexible work arrangement is not for everybody, and we must emphasize that. So it's not going to be that every company will implement flexible work arrangements. Every company has to assess whether this will work in my particular organization, having regard to what I actually do as a business.
Since flexi work will not suit every organization, you might ask, what if I want to work flexible days and hours and the company I work for is not implementing it?
Well, flexible work arrangements, it's all about negotiation. The employer cannot force the worker to implement flexi work and to work flexi hours. The worker cannot force the employer to implement flexi work. It has to be discussion and agreement between the parties.
And what of those who would seek to implement it without negotiation?
If you choose to vary that contract, the worker can institute proceedings for breach of contract. And the same goes for the employer too if the worker tries to vary it without the agreement. Because right now, persons are under existing contracts of employment, which sets out their terms and their days of rest.
When the bill is passed, the Ministry of Labour will be monitoring all complaints, so persons who find themselves in this situation should report the matter to the Ministry's Pay and Conditions of Employment branch, and there is an office in each parish. Over 20 pieces of legislation are to be amended to facilitate the implementation of flexible work arrangements. The amendments will specify that the work week should consist of 40 hours and that overtime is to be computed after the employee has completed 40 hours of work. That means for those opting for Flexi Week, overtime will not begin after an 8-hour workday, but only when you have worked beyond your 40-hour work week. The bill will also increase the number of hours in a workday from 8 or 10 hours to a maximum of 12 hours, reflect that all 7 days of the week should be considered as possible working days, and make it lawful for women to work at night.
Well, the organization would now not be restricted in opening hours. They'd have more freedom to choose the opening hours that would best suit their needs, so they can increase their productivity and also their profits. The individual will be able to more balance work life with family life, could choose the work arrangements which would best actually mesh with their family obligations, like picking up children. And also they could earn more because it would allow you to choose to work for different people to actually get more money. For the nation, of course, if the businesses are actually producing more, individuals are actually earning more, employment has increased, and it would spell well for the nation.
Persons can choose from a range of flexi-work options. One option allows for working part-time hours and still earning benefits such as vacation and sick leave. Flexible time allows individuals and businesses to vary the start and end time of each workday. Persons can also telecommute, essentially working from a location other than the office, such as your home. And then there is the compressed work week. This is where you work your 40 hours over a 3 to 4 day period. But be careful not to fall below the threshold of 110 days worked to qualify for vacation leave entitlement.
A person who works for 3 days would have only worked for 156 days in the year. So they would still get vacation leave because they have passed the threshold of 110, but under the holidays with pay order. To obtain vacation leave of 2 weeks, you have to work under the statute for 220 days. So that gets you closer to somebody who works for 4 days for the week, for example.
And since all 7 days will be regarded as work days, what will pertain to working on public holidays?
The flexi work arrangements bill will not change any provisions we public general holidays and the payment of overtime to those workers. Persons under minimum wage will still be entitled to double time for working on holidays and persons who work in shops. Other persons who are not minimum wage earners who don't work in shops, your contract will still govern how you are paid overtime because that was always the case.
We are not about taking away people's rights. We are about trying to ensure that we organize work in such a way that Jamaica can be competitive.
And what we need to do is to ensure that we don't delay any further so we can take full advantage of the opportunities being offered to us for growth, development, and prosperity.
So there is nothing to prevent any company today from looking at their operations, looking at their markets, and making a determination as to what is the best production fit for their business.
In the meantime, the Ministry of Labour and Social Security continues to invite national input with public forums and education campaigns.
We want a productive Jamaica. We are not productive Jamaicans. Productivity to move forward on this land. Productivity, that's the way to go, we should understand. Productivity is the way to go for all us Jamaicans. Small business, big business, old and young, we are tell every woman and man. We want growth and prosperity for a better nation with a building plan. So we can build our product and sell our product and put more money in our hand. Our economy can rise to a level and build a better nation. Productivity to move forward on this land. Productivity, that's the way to go, we should understand. Productivity to move forward on this land. Productivity, that's the way to go, we should understand. Productivity.
Productivity, pathway to prosperity. A message brought to you by the Jamaica Productivity Center, a department of the Ministry of Labour and Social Security.
The chikungunya virus, or CHIKV, continues to be a cause for concern for us here in Jamaica. And the Ministry of Health is taking the necessary steps to contain and control the spread. But while officials are fogging communities and providing care in health facilities, there are things each of us can do in our own environment. Here's what you should know.
According to the World Health Organization, chikungunya is a viral disease which is transmitted to humans by infected Aedes aegypti mosquitoes.
After being bitten, it takes between 1 and 12 days for most symptoms to appear, with most people experiencing symptoms between 3 to 7 days.
After being bitten, it takes between 4 to 7 days for symptoms to appear. The main ones include high fever and severe joint pain, usually in the lower back, ankles, knees, or wrists. Infected persons may also experience joint swelling, rash, headache, muscle pain, nausea, and fatigue.
The use of paracetamol is recommended by the Ministry of Health to ease some of the symptoms. However, it warns that persons with chikungunya should not take aspirin.
Although chikungunya does not often result in death, Joint pains and stiffness can last for months and even years. It may become a source of chronic pain and disability, resulting in the individual being unable to attend school or work. It is advised that anyone experiencing symptoms of chikungunya should visit their doctor or the nearest health center immediately. The first outbreak of chikungunya was in southern Tanzania in 1952. Then, in 2013, the French part of St. Martin reported the first confirmed case in the Caribbean and Latin American region. Since then, it has spread to approximately 28 countries and territories in the region, with more than 5,000 cases confirmed by mid-July 2014. Chikungunya has also been identified in nearly 40 countries in Asia, Africa, Europe, and the Americas. There is no specific treatment for the chikungunya virus, nor is there a vaccine, so treatment is directed primarily at relieving the symptoms. During this period, infected persons should ensure that they get plenty of rest, drink enough fluid to prevent dehydration, and take the medication prescribed by their doctors. Mosquitoes that bite infected persons will become infected and are likely to spread the virus when they bite other persons, so it's important that we take measures to protect ourselves from being bitten. We can start by identifying and reducing possible mosquito breeding sites.
Ensure that once a week we inspect our homes, schools, business places, churches. This mosquito is a day-biting mosquito, and it lives in and around where people live and congregate. Therefore, we want to ensure that the water that is settling is removed. The message of scrubbing the flower vases carefully, the PET containers with water, ensuring that old tiles are emptied, tins are punched with holes before they are discarded, are still applicable for control of the chikungunya virus spread.
Other measures include covering the body as much as possible by wearing long-sleeved clothing and using insect repellent containing DEET. As for those traveling to countries with confirmed cases of chikungunya,
the main advice is to prevent mosquito bites. We also say, look at how you are clothed. Try and protect your exposed skin. So it's the wearing of light-colored clothes, wearing long sleeves, pants if necessary, socks. Also, because the mosquito is still there, it is to ensure that persons should sleep under a mosquito net.
The Ministry of Health has been putting measures in place for more than 2 years in anticipation of the chikungunya virus reaching our shores. In fact, it was the ministry's heightened surveillance system that detected Jamaica's first imported confirmed case in mid-July.
It is something that is more favorable for any country when the first case that you recognize is imported, because then you can take the containment measures, meaning that you are ensuring that you limit their contact with any mosquitoes by caring for them under a net, limiting their movement and doing the vector control. We're also ensuring that at our points of entry, when visitors return to the island from any of the countries where transmission is occurring, that we alert them to the fact that if they display any signs and symptoms, they should check with their doctors or any of our health facilities.
This is how we close the show for today, but we don't have to lose this connection. Keep the link via our website, jis.gov.jm. Send us some feedback via email or a tweet at JIS News. Join us again tomorrow, same time, same station. On behalf of the entire production team here at the JIS, I'm Adrian Atkinson. Do take care.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.